What is up, everyone? Just going to walk through GBPUSD, the price action for what week was it? The 1st to the 6th of, actually, sorry, the 8th to the 13th of April. So this week was a bit of an interesting one. There was really one trade that we did actually catch with the group. But this week was quite interesting because basically we moved 280 pips to the downside. Um, so we didn't expect that. We knew that there was some CPI news and major news events throughout the week, but to get this type of reaction, definitely wasn't expected. So I'll walk through price action, what we were looking for, and why we were looking for that, and we'll see how we go from there. So basically, on the 4 hour, we knew that price would come up and induce this in the previous week. So Monday was here. So basically, all we were looking for was to come up, take this high and induce this liquidity here, and look to continue to sell. As you can see, we are bearish. And I do see this big move to the upside as a bit of a run of liquidity to the upside. That's what I'm seeing that as. So understanding that, all I'm looking for is a reaction to the downside. We've broken down, induced in the process, created trend line liquidity, induced, didn't break here. So I knew that I needed to take more liquidity, either coming up here, possibly inducing some of that trend line there, or inducing the high and doing what it did. Only thing is, didn't think it would happen that quick. Obviously, the news sped that up tenfold. That's normally, a couple of weeks move, a week and a half, but is what it is. But built up this trend line to the downside. So it was quite obvious we were going to come and take that liquidity with that inducement to the upside. So coming in at the start of the week, we had basically moved up. We were looking for buys in here. We couldn't catch anything. Had a good inducement of some lows here, but there was nothing, no good price action in terms of entries. Then we did come and induce price, like I said, which was a previous weekly high, which held a lot of liquidity, also inducing all of those buyers into the market there. So there was no entry here. EU did have an entry, so make sure you go and watch Dylan's video. He does walk through the entry that's quite nice. It would still be running. But apart from that, 15-minute break of structure to the downside, showing that we are, in fact, becoming bearish. Only thing is we couldn't set this limit. In terms of a swing trade, this is a great limit, covering those highs there, 6.3 pip stop loss, little inducement there. Perfect. Only thing is news came out. Not only would you get slipped with the news in spread, but if you weren't and it went in the opposite direction, goodbye whatever account you're trading on, especially with a move of that magnitude. So basically we had price step back up. There was nothing in here, quite slow price action, but we could tell where we're coming up, feel this imbalance that was created. And as we can see, great price action coming into this session. We had the inducement of this 15-minute high, break structure to the downside, and then an inducement and a second touch into our supply point. Unfortunately, though, the news just wanted to come out at the time of this entry. This would have been a great entry where we could be aggressive, especially with this 15-minute break of structure to the downside. But unfortunately, like I said, news came out. So basically, we had pushed down and induced, taken all of this liquidity here. Excuse me. Sorry, as you can see, we came into a 15-minute supply point, demand point at the bottom here that had created this break of structure. So to me, this is all filled. I see this is actually very filled price action. Come in, mitigation there, pushed up. This was the last area to take liquidity before we got this new higher high. So the reaction we got off here was perfect. Exactly what I expected to see, especially after taking all of this liquidity. I expected more of a retracement from this point. But what I wanted to do is actually induce that point like it has, step up, take some liquidity to the inside, and then give us a nice demand to supply point. So coming into Wednesday, so basically Monday and Tuesday were a write-off. Came into Wednesday, we had taken more liquidity to the downside. So we did have a possibility of starting our complex pullback and beginning to retrace. So we got that internal break there. Price then pulled back, gave us a second break of structure here. Great price action, telling us that we are looking to somewhat start a retracement. Only thing being is we did get this internal break here and it didn't break these lows here. So all that was telling me that we were just trying to get more sellers in to come and stop them. We had tapped into the supply point, so it was valid to look for a sell here, which was on the Thursday. Nothing came in there. Thursday during London session, nothing came in there, but we had already completed the daily cycle, taking the Asian highs and then the Asian lows. So all I was looking for coming into here, we got our 15-minute inducement of our session, which was perfect. We had taken enough liquidity, second tap into a supply. We had some lower time frame confirmations, being so bearish and taking the internal liquidity that we did inside our main push from this high to this low. I was more than happy to sell. We also had Some bit of high time frame trend line liquidity to target on the 15 minutes, which was perfect for in terms of targets. But if we jump down on the 1 minute, the price action was very, very clean. So we got basically this is inducement of these highs here, which created equal highs, which is another tick to our list. We then had price pull down and induce on the 1 minute here as well. So this inducement on the 1 minute after the 15 minute was enough for me to start looking for a trade. I actually drew this up and sent it out to the group exactly of, I basically had my arrows, price was here and I said to do this, and we're looking to take that entry. And that exact thing happened. So we had this inducement of this high, which was the last confirmation I needed. Price then built up, which is another confirmation. Trend line to the downside. We had our 1 minute entry confirmation, set above liquidity above an inducement point for a 3.8 pip stop loss. Price taps you in and then just melts from there. So in terms of managing this trade, I managed it at just a 1 to 10, covering the lows. I think it was a 1 to 10 to here, and took most of my profit there just because we were in a bit of a complex pullback and I didn't expect us to keep melting. But unfortunately, this trade now is running until today, the night before the next week, 1 to 40. So great trade in terms of targets. Very, very easy to manage. 1 to 5, 50%. And then I took 1 to 10 here. You can hold to the lows. Just being so bearish, there is a demand point here that you could have targeted, or some equal lows on the higher time frame across the other side of the chart that you could have targeted. But I didn't expect, with the move we'd had, to just keep on melting and keep taking liquidity. So I was quite happy to take that 1 to 10, especially being the first trade of the week and the only trade of the week. For GU, was more than happy to secure those profits and move on. And then coming into the next couple of days, we hadn't broken this external structure. So looking for a trade back up was a bit interesting. We didn't take enough liquidity to sell. So this was just watching this continue to sell, continue to go. And there was no trades here. Continuation entries, which are a bit higher risk, which is how much we have sold off. You don't want to get too in the motion, just expecting that it's going to sell off. We need facts of the market. We need some liquidity taken, some long time frame confirmations, and those things to be hit. So very, very slow week in terms of taking trades, but this was a beauty. This was definitely close to an A+ setup. Actually, I'd probably give it an A+ setup in terms of our books. We even have the timing of our New York window, which we like to trade in as well. So that's basically it for this week's price action. Keen for next week, we should get a retracement. Make sure you guys go watch EU as well. And if you guys do want to join the live trading group, it's the first link in the description. So awesome. Enjoy. I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe even going and looking at this trade would be one to look at as well, just in terms of backtesting this movement. Very, very nice setup. Had all the confirmations and an A+ in my book. So perfect. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.